We're ready.
All right, we got all three of us here.
We do.
All right, Patriot to the core. And we are in the Our Town podcast studio here. So, Troy, thank you for having Chris and me. Chris and I just finished a workout this morning. Chris, I told Troy that he's angry. You didn't know what to expect, and you definitely did not expect what we did today.
No, and I'm definitely too far out of shape to start all that.
When was
Especially that early in the morning.
When was the last time you worked out or did something like that?
Oh, about 2 years ago.
Well, look at your bicep. Show him your bicep there.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm surgically repaired. Got 2 new biceps.
Really?
Yeah.
Like implants?
No.
Okay.
Like, I'm so out of shape, I tore my bicep, and they had to repair.
That was from CrossFit, wasn't it?
No. It's from trying to move my youngest daughter's furniture around.
Oh, boy.
You know, cool stuff like that. Tried to push one person and tore the other one.
Oh, dang. Well, you've had some injuries in your day, for sure. You just keep plugging.
Yep.
Well, today I wanted to get us all together just to talk about the Mark Forrester JAG 28 walk / Ruck that's coming up on May 20th. And we're going to do it back in where we always did it, in our hometown of Haleville. Speaking of Haleville, Troy, I've been trying to listen to episode 56 with Carrie Straub. Is it Straub? Yeah. Mm-hmm. From Crime Stoppers. That's really good. I heard on the way over here today, he was talking about the Eric Rudolph, who did the bombing in Atlanta, I remember, in the Olympics, and he bombed an abortion clinic in Birmingham.
Eric Robert Rudolph, right? Doesn't he use his middle name as well, I think?
He did. I know he did, yeah.
That's the one that hid in the woods for 2 or 3 years or something. It was a long time before they found him.
Yeah. And then he was talking about some election fraud in Winston County. I don't know if you know that's where Haleville is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Winston County, the free state of Winston. So I think what he said was accurate. I don't remember the election fraud deal, though. But yeah, Winston County was dry up until, I don't know when, but I'm going to say roughly 2005-ish. I don't know. But so, yeah, a lot of bootleggers. But I didn't know any of that story about the election stuff. It might not have been in our hometown. It could have been in.
Well, this is all the stuff I'm learning, right? I'm still new here, and I mean, I'm learning fast. I often wonder if I'm going to learn more in 2 years of living here and hearing stuff than I ever paid attention to stuff in Virginia. You know, because you just kind of take it for granted. You live here, but now it's like I'm hyper focused, and I want to learn a bunch of stuff, and I, someone will mention Eric Robert Rudolph, and I'm just unaware. I didn't, because I certainly watched the Olympics and there's a bombing, but then a lot of that media, once it kind of dies off nationally, maybe then it moves to the southeast, right? Closer to where it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's episode 56 of Our Town podcast. So that's good. I don't know how far I am. I'm at least halfway. That's a good one. The walk, though, coming up. So one reason I wanted y'all to is because Chris has done the walk every year, along with me, and then Troy did it last year for the first time. So we have some different perspectives here. And I wanted to kind of also go back and just talk about, like, how we prepare, and some bad experiences and good experiences. And I know Chris has plenty of those. Troy, you had some discomfort last year.
Oh yeah. It's mild.
But the first thing that comes to my mind is, and especially when I'm there and I see all these people, we have anywhere from 30, the minimum we've had is 30 or 35 to, I know we've had 70 when you're second or third year.
70, 2 or 3 or 4.
So, but every year when I look at the group, I just think, what possesses all y'all to do this? And most of them are from out of town. Our hometown of Haleville is off the beaten path, especially coming from Huntsville, where we are now. You're going through the forest, but it's really, there's no interstate. There's not a U.S. highway. So it's not easy to get to. Their lodging is not good. There's not a good hotel. There are a few Airbnbs now. You've found one.
Yeah, we found one for this year.
So we used to have a good little bed and breakfast there that you stayed in every year.
Yeah,
I think it had 4 rooms or something.
Yeah, the Fuller House. It was 4 to 6 rooms.
Okay,
but the people who ran it were just like anyone from Haleville, are just very gracious, humble, and just great people. Mm-hmm. They take care of the people that come to visit.
Yeah, he used to make y'all chocolate gravy, didn't he?
Yeah, That's probably the reason I liked it so much. Never heard of chocolate gravy before I came to Haleyville.
You ever had it, Troy?
No. Is
Yeah.
that for breakfast?
Yeah, like put it on a biscuit or something. I mean, I don't know the history of it. I didn't grow up with it. I haven't had it much, but I really believe that it's more of was like a poor man's food at one time because it's very simple. Cocoa and, I don't know, water or something, probably some butter, but
I had no idea, but it was great.
but it's turned into something that is a little more, tried to be promoted as a little more fancy, I think. If you consider biscuits and gravy fancy, which I do. I love biscuits and gravy.
It's a Southern staple, man. Right?
Yeah. But really, like, so Chris, for you, what in the world possesses you to do the walk every year?
Well, there's two answers to this question. One is, the Lord only gives us so many friends, and when I do find one of those friends, I'm pretty loyal to them. And I think back 12 years ago, you said, "Hey, I want to do this walk," and I said, "No matter what's going on, I'll be there with you." That was one of them. But after the first time, that's probably what got me there the first time. But it's the people. I meet people from Florida, I don't know, all the way to California and everywhere in between. And they are some of the best people that you could ever imagine. And the things that they've been through, they've done, it's awesome. And I don't talk a lot. I listen a lot when I'm walking. Mm-hmm. And the stories I've heard and laughing, that opportunity outweighs any of the bad. The broke feet, the hurt feet. It's all worth it.
It's kind of become a family affair. Well, it has become a family affair for you. I mean, I don't think Caroline does the walk. She does part of it.
She's done it 2 years. My son, who's 16 now, has done it the last 5 years. He does the whole thing. 1 year, he had a broke leg, and he did one leg of it, I think 4 miles on crutches. But
and then we pushed him, right? He got pushed in the...
Yeah, I had a wheelchair, and it pushed him in some. But I think by that afternoon, he was ready to get in the car. But he's a trooper. He's probably as hard-headed as I am.
You're hard-headed, for sure. Yeah. What about you? So, Troy, you didn't know my brother Mark. Mm-hmm. You and I, we go back to 96 through 97, and then we didn't see each other until you moved here. Mm-hmm. And, well, I don't know. I guess 2 years ago, was that spring of
I moved
21?
Christmas of 21 when I moved here.
Okay. Yeah. So, shoot, a little over a year. So, anyway, what possession? I mean, maybe you just felt obligated. I didn't want you to, but you came last year.
No, I think similar to Chris, for at least one example, I didn't know Mark, but I know you, and I'm more than thrilled to live in Alabama now and want to continue, develop new friendships, right? And in this case, just go back and strengthen that friendship because we're friends, but we were missionaries, so we don't really get to. It's not like we were living our lives.
Yep.
We're living a kind of different life that way. So now it's like, hey, we have a career, we have families and stuff. So reestablish that. I like to do hard things, especially as you get older. I think maybe it's part of being an adult and scratching that itch of things you just didn't do as a youngster. And it seems to be like if it's Ragnar or mud runs or ultra marathons, like I like to kind of seek out difficult things to do. Now I will admit I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, and I was ill-prepared, totally ill-prepared. I've been running, so I've been running like half marathon. I don't really want to run a marathon. For some reason, I'm just not like that interested in running a marathon. Yeah. But half marathons I enjoy. It's just more of the training for it. It keeps me somewhat in shape. It's not overly difficult to do. I never had a blister, ever, like running a half marathon, so I figured I can walk 28 miles. And then sure enough, within 7 or 8 miles, I'm starting to develop blisters. And so now, and then I suffered through it, right? I suffered through the whole thing. And I remember Chris talking to him about how the fact he's like, hey, I don't care if I'm 100 pounds or 500 pounds, I'm going to be here. Just whatever in life. If I'm in shape or out of shape, I'm going to be here and I'm going to walk, and I'm going to support this. And so some of it's just what, I listen to a lot of like the David Goggins and other people who have these like strong minds, and they push their bodies to do stuff. And so I'm like, all right, well, how strong am I? So sometimes you just look for these opportunities to do something like to really test you physically. So selfishly, right, there's those things. But, I think the overriding element is I didn't know Mark, but what can I do to continue to help all of those that are continuing to help the Mark Forster Foundation and help you. And it's a worthy cause. I don't know. I'm like, there's probably a million other reasons too, but, and I'm all in. I'm all in on anything in Alabama. I want to go to Haleville. I've interviewed Dr. Bo Rivera, who's your
Chris
neighbor.
knows him
You know
Yeah,
Bo.
I think he's done
From
the
the
walk
walk.
just about every year too.
every
Yeah.
year.
And so I'm anxious. I'm anxious to get to Haleville and check it out and participate.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, and I didn't know, you talked about the Ragnar.
Yeah.
So you're not a stranger to doing hard things and doing some different races and obstacle course races. What is Ragnar? And if I'm even saying it right.
Yeah, Ragnar there's two forms. It started as a road race, and you have 12 people on your team. And there's a logistical challenge where you don't have to have runners of all abilities on your team. So you're going to have really, maybe you flight, if you were to flight it, kind of like when you go to like a golf tournament, you can flight, you have like maybe some really serious runners, some moderate runners, and then some just beginnings. But the idea is let's say it's from Huntsville to Atlanta. I don't know how many miles that is, 300, 250. But that would be like a Ragnar. We're going to run from Huntsville to Atlanta. You're going to have 12 people on your team. And you're going to have two vans, six runners in each van. And the captain is there's predetermined checkpoints along the way. So runner one, he knows he or she is going to run 3 miles. And then the next time they run, it's kind of a leapfrog thing, right? All the way to Atlanta. And so you can run 3 miles your first leg, and then you're probably going to run it 8 hours later. Well, with road, you're probably going to run 10 to 11 hours later. So after your leg, the van picks you up. They drop off runner two, and on you go, right? So
Where do
it's
you
just this-
sleep?
Anywhere.
In the van or
No, you're not going to have room in the van. We slept in sleeping bags in a parking lot,
Okay.
like in grass. And there is a campground that they will what they strategically try to do is have when the van one is kind of done with its day, and van two starts. There's usually a campground of some sort there and some food and stuff that they've kind of provided for everybody. But for the most part, you're just on your own, and it's really fun because you really talk about the camaraderie of a walk, right? You have 12 hours. We had 12 and a half hours last year to meet people and talk to Chris. I'm going to talk to Thad. I'm going to talk to Sasha, whomever, your kids. Same thing in the van, right? You build some camaraderie. Now, there's another version, which is the trail version. And that's a lot easier logistically, where they'll choose like a state park that has like mountain bike trails. And they're going to pick 3 loops. Everyone's going to run those 3 loops, but you camp out. So you're at that same venue. Runner one goes. Everyone else is chilling, doing whatever. Then runner one comes back. Then runner two takes off, and they have like a red, a yellow, and a green loop, and they're all very, green is a little easier than red, that type thing. So there's benefits to both, but you're gonna run somewhere in the middle of the night. So imagine running in the forest at 3 a.m. and you have your lights and that's it, right? And they have signs. They have signs that light up to tell you go left or go right, that type of stuff. But it's a grind. The first leg is kind of easy. You come back and rest, but then you're tired because it's really kind of like bedtime. But you got to wake up and you got to go run another 4 or 5 miles, and now you're really tired. But then you got to wake back up and run another 4 or 5 miles, and it's just this 30. It's usually about 30 hours straight of just trying to manage your body and your diet and nutrition and hydration but I tell you what, the walk by far is the hardest thing I've ever done.
That's good. Wow. I mean, so Chris, how do you prepare? How do you prepare for the walk every year?
I show up. I find my shoes out of the closet that I walked in last year and put those on.
That's the only time you wear them, right?
Yeah, I wear them one day a year.
So we'll talk in a minute. We're going to talk about gear, and so we'll get into that. How you figured that out? Yeah.
He wears his Belega socks. I'll give you a precursor to that.
There you go.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
That was a game changer when I found those.
It was. Me too. Yeah. Troy, how did you prepare last year, and then what are you going to do different this year?
I didn't prepare at all.
You thought because hey, I run and
Yeah, I thought I was running, and I may not look like it now, but I'll run 3 times a week, 4 or 5 miles each time. I figure I'm pounding the pavement. I'm overweight anyway. I'm stressing my body. I don't get blisters. I'll be fine. So I just felt like I'll be okay. I was totally ignorant, and I didn't. You may have sent me some tips. And I didn't. Maybe I didn't have time. I was also starting my own podcast, and I was using a lot of my time to do that. And I just figured I would be okay. Mm-hmm. And I realized when I showed up right away, I'm like, oh, this is bad. I can just tell like the socks I was wearing, the shoes I was wearing. So I just felt like, as a runner that doesn't run, I wasn't like I was training at that time for a half marathon, but I was running fairly regularly. I thought it'd be okay.
If you only knew how many people were just like you. I mean, Chris has seen it too. Mm-hmm. The number of people, I cannot stress it enough. And I write it on the website. I write it on Facebook. I tell people, but nobody listens. And I say, look, you have to train. And I don't care if you do CrossFit 5 days a week.
Yeah. If
you run, you probably are not doing something like this ever. And I know you've been walking pretty much your entire life.
Yeah. Hey, what's the one guy? And it's the saying I'll never forget was, if you can pour concrete all day, you can walk all day. That guy shows up, and he is awesome.
Well, that is Steve Bryant, and he'll be there. He's coming.
And he is amazing.
He's usually our oldest walker. And this guy, so he's the dad of a great friend of mine that we grew up together. Sally and I grew up together, went to school, graduated together. And then he has a son who's was Mark's good friend.
Okay.
And Steve has done the walk, I believe, every year. Well, I mean, he started the first year, didn't he? He's missed a year or two because he had a bad injury. But he wears these work boots, doesn't he?
Work boots.
With white cotton socks.
Never changes his socks.
Wow.
And just happy and smiling all day. He's inspiration. He's one of those ones I talk about that's, hey, if this guy's out here doing it, I don't care how hurt I am, I'm gonna finish.
And if he's in pain, nobody knows it.
No,
he's just a machine.
He's an amazing person.
He basically does everything I say not to do. As far as he doesn't change socks. He wears cotton socks. He wears boots that to me would not be comfortable at all. But he's got it figured out. And man, he is great. What a great man.
He may just be tougher than all of us.
He's tough. Yeah, he's poured concrete for a long time for sure.
Well, I was thinking about why is it difficult, and I may have been trying to philosophically understand my pain and my grief. Like if you run or if you pour, maybe Steve's the exception, but if you feel like you're doing something somewhat rigorous on a consistent basis, that should translate to being able to walk. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that's difficult about it is when you run, typically you're running on the same surface, at the same pace, at the same rhythm, the same cadence, if you will, for that period of time. But walking is, we went up, we went down, we were on gravel, we were on asphalt. Those yes, you can run up and down grades, but I think there's just something about it's not necessarily consistent, right? Your steps, you're stepping off a curb, you're stepping on this,
and you're also socializing. Most people are talking too. You're not in some zone. A few people get in a zone. But.
So,
and I think running, you never lose your momentum.
Right.
Just about every step in the walk, we're losing momentum.
Yeah.
So you're having to use different muscles to try to pull yourself to the next step.
You're turning, even just turning around, pivoting to be like, hey, are you okay back there? You don't do that when you run. And it may just be a few steps, but I think it's just enough that it causes enough variation that you start stressing their skin, and blisters start forming, and you cramp or just get sore in different parts of your feet.
Yeah, so let's talk about gear. So Chris, the very first year was 2011. We did 30 miles. We did 30 miles because Mark would have been 30 on that year. And that's how it was going to be. For those who have wondered, we added a mile every year, based on how old Mark would be. We got up to 36 miles, and that's when we said, I said, look, okay, I guess I have to use some sense here. This is going to be a strain on our resources. It's going to get dark. Yes, I know I was this hard charger, and we're going to keep walking, but think about the volunteers and the walkers, and let's just do. Someone had suggested just do 28 miles for JAG 2.8. It's like, yeah, so let's just do that. So that's what happened. We got to 36, and that was the most we did. So we're back to 28. But the first year, compare your first year. Talk about what you wore, and what you expected in your injuries, and then how you've adapted and changed since.
So I've never really known what to bring or what to do. I read your Facebook post or whatever saying, hey, get this stuff. So I went and bought some hikers or some kind of boots. And I guess they were too small. So somewhere around lunchtime, my foot started swelling up where it wouldn't fit in the shoe anymore. But we finished. So that was the year, I guess, I got a stress fracture in my foot. And
You knew it was broke before, because I remember you just putting that head down and just walking.
yeah, it hurt. But then the next year I said, I'm not buying shoes too small anymore. So I bought shoes that were too big.
Because, by the way, your feet are going to swell
And
no matter what.
That was worse. I think the bottom of my foot come off in that sock. So I'd rather have a broke foot than big blisters. And somewhere around year 3 or 4, I figured out, hey, we're walking on the road. Let's use tennis shoes. I don't carry a weight like some of Mark's teammates and guys do. They do a real ruck. I pretty much just walk all day with them. And so I went to tennis shoes, steel blisters, and then whatever year that was, I found the right socks. Since then, yeah, pinky toe's bad or a big toe or something, but for the most part, it is great.
Are those Brooks? Do you use the Brooks running shoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're like a 2012 model.
He wears them once a year.
Okay.
They're in the bottom of the closet, still full of Gold Bond or whatever you put down in there for your shoes.
Hey, be careful, because every time it's only my golf shoes. I've had 3 pair of golf shoes that I only wear like once a year for Mark's golf tournament, but I keep them in the garage, or I used to. One of my other garages got hot, and 3 daggum years in a row, the soles broke off my golf shoes.
Really?
So I had to either tape them on. Somebody had athletic tape, and so sometimes those might just fall apart.
Yeah, that's why I started golfing in flip-flops. I take them off the drive, put them on the putt. So that's all good.
Yeah, those what do you call those guys? They don't like that too much. The Marshalls.
Oh, the Marshalls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only go one time a year, so if I get kicked off, my probation's up before I come back.
What gear do you use, Troy? Or what did you use last year, and what are you gonna change?
Well, I do have Brooks running shoes, and I don't remember if I started with those or not. I think I brought 2 pairs of shoes, which is, I guess a smart thing to do, right? If they're similar. And I have Belega socks, and I think I had one of my pairs. If not, I think I borrowed.
I gave you a pair, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me a pair because I had maybe I had them at home and I didn't bring them because I didn't think I needed them. So as I have this discovery and talking to Chris, like, well, wait a minute. It sounds like I've been overthinking this. I probably would have wanted to buy some Ruck stuff and buy some proper things that you would do. For
Nobody else.
like
Chris
this.
won't buy it either. It's just me.
Well, I got to go Ruck.
Yeah, you have a GR2. Yeah.
But so I'm gonna go with that setup. It's just easier for me to go with like my shoes, which most of my Brooks running shoes. I got a couple pair. The Belega socks, I'll probably switch out 3 or 4 times, and I think that's what I'm gonna go with because I didn't have any problems with hydration or feeling hungry or anything like that. It was just my feet.
Yeah. What about your backpacks? Did you have any blistering from the straps? And did you wear a backpack at all? Now, do you wear one?
I do,
really light,
but half the time this past year, my boy toted it for me. That 5 pounds kind of got heavy.
I don't remember having any blisters.
Okay. What about underwear? What do you do for underwear?
Just regular regular underwear.
Like whitey tidies?
Nah, some boxer briefs,
Okay.
Hanes or whatever they are. I don't know.
Okay. You're wearing cotton.
You know,
Some kind of blend, but
I came across this brand. It's through. I know I got them at Target. But Pair of Thieves. You heard of Pair of Thieves?
No, but you think you told us
I
about
think
those.
I told you about them. I mean, they're kind of like, they feel like they're a boxer.
Uh-huh.
You know, but I mean, everything now has some sort of stretchy spandex material. But I just use those, and I no problems.
Okay. Yeah.
I buy all my clothes at Sam's Club. You know, go get a frozen lasagna and some good underwear and shorts, T-shirts,
And then a hot dog for $1.75.
Yeah, pizza,
Yeah.
yeah. and the biggest fountain drink you can get.
But the ice machine never works. Sam's doesn't do a good job taking care of that, I don't think.
They don't take care of a lot. But
Well, so yeah, you know, it's funny is I always told people, and I wrote about it too, is like get some good hiking boots with a good, good strong heel, and get some good socks. And I settled on Smart Wool years ago from the very first walk, and those things are expensive. You know, and I didn't buy all of them I bought several pair, but I'll continue to buy them throughout the years. Mm-hmm. And I really found what worked. It did good, but Chris a few years ago was like, man, I think you should go low top, get some low top shoes and wear these Belega socks. And so I was like, I don't know, I found what works. And then I love my Mac V1s, but in 2021, once again, my those Smart Wools, they would make my ankles break out by the end of the day. And you told me they did that to you. And I actually got a blister in 2021 with my Mac V1s. Of course, I didn't do it in 20 because I'd had my Achilles rupture and surgery, so I couldn't walk. But that was a tough one for me. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, Chris. I bought some new boots, some Jedburghs. I started training in them, and I was like, these just don't feel good. They're a little too loose. And so I pulled up. I got them on. I got the old ballistic trainers on with the Belega socks. I said, I'm gonna try them out. And I felt better last year after the walk than I've ever felt anytime ever. And so I appreciate that. So all the people that I told wear some good boots. Well, I mean, yeah, because I'm not carrying weight either. Mm-hmm. I do when I train, but yeah, when we do the ruck, I don't. The only weight in my backpack are socks and a small blister kit. Yeah, the Body Glide and things like that.
yeah, I definitely believe the guys that are carrying the weight, all the controllers and different folks that are there, they need that hard soled boot, support.
And some ankle support, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it was one of the second year, one of the guys from North Carolina said, I'm not carrying weight. One of the other guys, I guess, would give him a hard time for wearing his Ranger panties and some tennis shoes to do the walk. Mm-hmm. And the rest of them are in, their fatigues and toting this big backpack. He said, this is no different than being out on the road or something walking. And my feet are hurting, and I got those big hikers on that are too big. And I'm thinking, man, that's a smart guy right there. But
is Haleyville, will there be as much incline of what we did last year on the virtual walk?
yes.
Yeah.
It's a hilly place.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, last year we went up that mountain over at McMullen Cove. That's pretty high, right?
We've done that, I guess, both years we did it.
Yeah, but there's plenty of hills on our route, right? We've had a few routes.
Especially after lunch, it seems like that's all it is.
Okay. Yeah,
Of all the legs, you start, and maybe the first leg has a lot of hills, but that one where you sit down at lunchtime, and everything
in the
kind of
forest,
everything kind of stiffens up, and you're like, all right, I got to walk again. Mm-hmm. Then it's just getting hot, and you got that big lunch.
And we come out of the shade. We've had the canopy for a little while.
Because, when there's cookies there, you got to eat at least 5 or 6 and put that on top of all the Gatorade and everything. You feel great leaving lunch.
Yeah, it is funny to see people as the day goes on get stiffened up. And then if it's like, if we start getting spread out, I'm like, hey, y'all slow down. And some people think I'm saying stop. I'm not really saying stop. Just slow down. Let's walk at a normal pace, not a Chris Sprayberry's pace, but a slower pace. And then some people are like, I can't stop because I'm stiff. Well, you don't have to stop. Just slow down so we can stay together.
Yeah, we had that. one guy, he was a medic that, I don't know, he had lots of jokes. He was like a white Dave Chappelle. And then his sister brought her dog, the helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
Now, they were fast. They were funny.
They were too fast. Yeah, we
Yeah.
tried and tried. They wouldn't stop, and that was it was a lot of people that year.
Yeah, we got to the last leg, and they ran like the last 5 miles.
Really?
Yeah, I was ticked at him, Ben. If you're listening, yeah, I told him, you got to stop, you got to slow down. Everybody did, but
He was fun. He kept
said
me
the
laughing.
dog was leading him. He said,
Yeah, he was fun when I could keep up with him.
So, what about injuries? You said the hardest thing you'd ever done. What about the injuries did you have last year, Troy?
So I definitely had the blistering, and it wasn't. I mean, I think I was able to move around, but pretty sore for a few days. I don't remember if it's funny how you forget, and it's good that you forget so that you'll end up going the next time.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think my feet were all blistered up. But you know what really got me was when we left you guys, I went to the Chick-fil-A. You can go over Governor, once you come over the hill and go down Governor's by the hospital, right? So I go to Chick-fil-A and I was going to get something to eat, or I don't know, I was going to get a shake. And then I started like feeling bad, like I was like getting sick or something. And by the time I got home, like my body was in shock. And I was like shaking and stuff. And I don't know if it was like the temperature change of just having been warm, your body's warm all day. And now I'm sitting in the air conditioning, and then I get home in the air conditioning. But I was like physically ill for a little while and like shaking like I had the flu or the fever,
Yeah.
I think my body was just like, what just happened? And this is not how you do post race and just go get a milkshake at Chick-fil-A or something and then sit in a car. But that was like the most, it's fine. It wasn't like it's the worst I ever felt, but I guess I was surprised in a way how my body like just kind of was trying to adjust to the full day experience.
Yeah.
But it was like I can't wait till next year because I'm going to be ready and I don't want to have to go through this.
Well, I hope we have a good turnout. Worst injury, Chris? I mean, you mentioned the broke foot and the bottom of your skin falling off. Is that it? What do you think?
Yeah, those blisters that one time, I think the whole bottom of my foot was a blister. The pad all the way to the heel.
Yeah.
I got a picture of it.
That wasn't the worst one. That was one probably like 3 years later.
That was up on
It was on
ball.
the pad of your foot, yeah. The whole part was blistered and went between your toes.
And this is when you had to go back and stay at the Imperial Inn, that bad hotel, right?
I only did that 1 year. Then y'all found the Fuller House, the bed and breakfast. Maybe I did it 2 years. But, yeah, it was a game changer, too.
But how did you go to work? Because you work a lot. You probably went to work the next day, like Sunday.
Yeah. There was one day it took me 10 minutes to get from the truck inside the building, the next morning. I think it was probably 5 o'clock or something the next morning. Yeah, those were tough mornings. And you look, since my boy's been doing it, like we'll leave the race and he's out there shooting basketball at the Fuller House. I'm thinking, I'm just laying in this recliner and he's out there shooting basketball. Young folks can recover a lot faster than us that get over 40 and out of shape. Yeah, I would say the broke foot was bad. It took longer to recover, but yeah, the blisters is probably the most painful. That's just opening that skin up.
What do you think is best? I've never had many blisters, so I haven't had to do it. I've just seen a bunch. But what's the best thing to do when you get a blister? You're halfway through the walk, or do you need to just try to leave it alone, or go ahead and pop it and to get the pus out and put some moleskin on it?
Well, I'm not the right guy for that because I don't know. I just put a new sock on. I don't know what to do with them.
I guess it depends, but yeah, we there's a lot of blister care that goes on that day.
Yeah. I'm definitely the type that would pop it.
You would go ahead.
I think I don't remember if I ever had a pop. I think they were ones that weren't going to pop. Like somehow they were just really spread and they weren't like concentrated. I don't remember, but if I do have one, I would pop it and I would treat it and put some moleskin on it.
Yeah.
And I may have done that, like especially when we went to the Mercedes for lunch. I think I remember like that was the most I was trying to care for my foot.
You were really in some serious pain and or discomfort for half the walk. Would you say
Yeah,
that?
I mean, it definitely started at like mile 8, which
Oh, so you had 20 miles left.
I think was like we were not even starting to go up the hill, and then by the time we came back down, that's when it really started to like, okay, this is here to stay. And then it just got like it'd be one thing if we didn't like. It's probably better in those situations to not, if you could, and it's not feasible to not stop ever again and just go for 15 whatever you have left. Just go and finish the walk, but you do have to stop. But the pickup is difficult, right? When you've stopped and you've rested and
Yeah,
like
that
especially at like your at your in-laws' place, right? That was like the last 3 or 4 miles. That was really hard to get going again.
But we had milkshakes from Chick-fil-A.
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
I think the first 100 yards after you stop is probably the worst, no matter when the stop is.
Yeah. Well, something that happened last year I didn't expect was my nephew Nick, who is in pretty dang good shape.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And he had to drop out. And it killed him. I mean, it just killed him. But I think he got dehydrated. And that's one thing that maybe people don't think about is because he drank solely water. I'm guessing my non-professional advice was he probably needed to get some electrolytes. He probably needed some salt, needed some Gatorade, and his legs basically locked up on him. And I thought I could revive him with some compression with my Ruck wraps. It didn't work. So yeah, he was out. He was done after 25 miles, 24, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have far left.
Yeah, I hated it for him because I would be ticked too, but he couldn't walk. Chris, what's your most memorable year of the walk?
Probably when we did 36. So we did 36, I don't know, the weekend before
Yeah.
in Tuscaloosa because you had to be
I had to be in
at,
Kansas City.
Kansas City. So then the next weekend or 2 weekends later, however it worked out, I don't know if it was 7 days or 14 days later, we did the walk in Haleyville. And it was a killer. It was hard, but still happy to see Johnny and everybody else. Their attitudes will pull anybody through. It's kind of infectious the way they are.
Yeah.
But it rained us out. And lightning. It was raining so hard you couldn't see the person in front of you. And the police decided it was too dangerous for us to finish.
Yeah.
So that was like at mile 34. I mean, we were pretty close, but I was done. I don't think I could have made 36.
Nobody argued when those buses
No,
showed
we
up.
didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think the mayor was like, "Hey, I'm making the call here."
Yeah, they
we're
took
getting
us
out of
off.
here. Yeah.
Then there was it was one year it was really hot. Bobby's dad Tony was there, and he was trying to finish or do something, so he didn't want Bobby to buy a motorcycle or something. It was something between them two, and they kept back and forth the whole time. And then Tony, he was trying to make it, but it was hot. And he had to get an ambulance to get him some electrolytes. He got way too dehydrated.
I don't remember the ambulance.
But it was awesome. But every year there's something going on or someone there that's just pretty inspiring. I don't know that there's one that's the best. 36 was good, but even the first year, I was at awe at the folks that showed up to support.
Yeah.
Mark. Haleyville's just, it's different. It's not something that you see every day in the U.S. It's such a patriotic town. Just even at Mark's funeral, everybody lining the streets, and when we show up to do the event, everyone who volunteers to help, and man, everybody's hospitality is just amazing. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's just awesome to be there that weekend. It's very uplifting.
Well, Troy and I were out eating pizza a few weeks ago at
Oh, I got an update on that.
Valentina's, and he knows Haleyville. He was like praising. He's like, I want to live there.
You know what? This is new news. He won. He's in Vegas. They just finished the world I guess it's like the International Pizza Expo, and it's like the world competition for pizza, right? So Joe Carlucci is the reigning world champion for the traditional category. There's traditional, non-traditional, like there's like gluten-free, and then I can't remember what the other one was. So he did traditional, and then he did non-traditional this year, and he won. And he won. Not only did he win that, and he talked about this. If you go back and I interviewed him in two of my episodes, and he mentioned it in both episodes where if you win the whole thing, Pizza Maker of the Year, then you can no longer compete, and that's what he won. So he not only did he win his category, but he won the whole thing.
Wow.
And but so he's like, it's a catch-22 because he likes to compete, but who wouldn't want to be, crowned the Pizza Maker of the Year?
Yeah.
And that just happened yesterday.
That's awesome. Good
Yeah,
for him.
but yeah, he perked up when talking about Haleyville and he knew about 911 being
Yeah, because he's been there for the 911 festival selling
Yeah.
pizzas in his pizza
Okay.
truck.
yeah
So yeah,
so
the best pizza in the world or the country is it international the contest?
it's worldwide.
Worldwide. So there
Yeah.
he was selling his pizza, at the 911 festival in Haleyville.
Yeah,
And he can't compete anymore.
yeah, in those games. Now I guess he can judge or something.
I guess that's like every lawyer commercial that comes on TV. They got that disclosure, right? One's not better than the other. If you get too good, you can't have commercials anymore.
Let me ask you this, Dad. I've only done one walk, but one of my favorite memories was just watching your boys walk with us for quite a while. I think I was, I guess, pleasantly surprised how much they did, and I'm sure that they were. I maybe a little bit surprised that they couldn't do more, and it got to a point where like, okay, they were done. Mm-hmm. But have they talked? Are they excited? Have they forgotten whatever pains and travails of last time, and they can't wait to walk a segment this year?
Yeah, they keep saying they want to walk the whole thing. Okay, you can, but you can't just show up. You've got to practice. So they've only been with me once this year so far.
Okay.
They'll do it. I mean, they'll do a portion of it. So Rosin's going to come, and she'll have to be there, ready for them. And maybe they do a section here and a section there. I'd imagine that's probably what'll happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do remember, or at least my oldest son Jack remembers his feet hurting, but they didn't have any. They didn't have any blisters or anything.
They're just tired.
Yeah, so they're looking forward to it, and I'm glad because several years ago Roz and the boys joined us, and I pushed them in a stroller. Mm-hmm. And then one year, I think one or two of them walked the last leg from my parents' house to the school, but now they're older and they can walk a little farther. Yeah, it's awesome to see people's kids do it. We've had Eric Karras has done it most years, and he's got boys. Of course, his boys are older teenagers now, maybe even out of their teens, some of them, but they've done it since they were young, younger than a teenager.
Yeah.
Has Charlie Beck ever done it?
No, they do the run and the races there.
Yeah.
And then they come meet us at lunchtime or something.
So what
They've done a leg or two, but no, not a lot.
Yeah, like the end.
Yeah.
A lot of people jump in the very last leg from my parents' house because there's a lot of people at my parents' house by then because they're the last stop, and then a lot of people jump in and walk that last 3.5 miles or so, or 4.
Just that real quick, going back to Ragnar, what you're supposed to do, and this sucks. Like, you're done. You just want to go home. But when you're last runner, and I always feel bad for the last runner because everybody else is like packed up and they're ready to get out of there. And this person is just finishing, and we usually only give them like 3 minutes before they're like, get in the car, we're going, like, we're out of here. But you have to run like together. Like for like when it depends on where it is. Like sometimes there's like a bridge that they have to build, for crowds or something, and the runners run over that. But let's say it's 200 yards or 100 yards, and you kind of run as a team because it's a team thing as well. Across the finish line, that's hard to do. If you haven't been running for like 6 or 7 hours and you had blisters, and you just don't feel well, and now you're like, wait a minute, I have to do what?
No,
like,
that's awful.
And you're limping. And you're like, we have to run again. I don't really want to, but you want to be a teammate, and everyone's just struggling to get across the line.
That sounds awful.
That's what reminds me of that. Like, oh gosh.
So what would y'all do different with the walk? It's pretty much the route has changed up a little bit, but it's pretty much the same route. Pretty much the same stops. Pretty much the same food. Well, I mean, what would you change?
I don't know that I would change anything. It seems, yeah, I think we've had 2 routes maybe. The first routes we didn't go through the forest. Now we go through the forest. It's a long dirt road. Mm-hmm. I like that better. That was a good change. It's a neat little church to have lunch at in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. No one would know.
It doesn't even have an address. It's got
Really?
latitude and longitude.
Yeah, but no, I think it's grown, and what it is today is good. I don't know that I would change much or anything.
Dad, could you do this? Since I've only done the virtual, can you really quickly step through in Hay level on the course? We start, and then how far in is the stop, and what do we do at the stop? Because I think last time it was great. We did like a drink stop after, I don't know, mile 8 or 9, and then at mile 16 or 17 was lunch or something, right? And then we had another stop and blister care. But
Yeah.
can you, for my benefit, I haven't even been to Hay level yet. Can you just walk through like when?
Yeah. So here's how it happens. We're going to meet at the high school, the parking lot up the main parking lot. We got to be there about 5:45. We're going to get on a bus. So we've got Todd Barton, who uses I think it's the First United Methodist Church bus. He'll haul us over, probably take a couple trips, haul us to the cemetery where Mark is buried. That's where we're actually going to start.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is because we end at the school, so people's cars are there. But we start at the cemetery. There will be somebody there with some bagels and some nice easy breakfast snacks, and then we'll do memorial push-ups there at the grave at first, and then we'll head off in our next stop. And I've got the route on the website too, and people can download it. The next stop, I don't know where it is now. It used to be 4.7 miles. I don't know how far it is now. I can't remember. It's about 4 or 5. Is Rabbit Town. And all the stops are about the same. We have different groups volunteering at each stop. So a local church is doing stop 1 at Rabbit Town. It's a little they call it a trading post. It's just before you go into the forest, the Bankhead National Forest. Every stop is meant to be as quick as possible, but it gives you time to refuel and address your feet if you need to and your equipment and use the bathroom. We'll have a porta potty at every stop, and there's also woods too.
Okay.
Then we hit the forest from there, and then we hit about 6 miles on a dirt road, I believe, Chris.
Yeah, it's a long way.
And then the next stop is lunch, and we'll have the American Legion there. They do the lunch. It'll probably be sandwiches from Subway. That's what they normally do. It's worked out good with some cookies for sure.
Lots of cookies.
And some fruit. And lunch is a little longer, of course. And then we leave there and pretty much leave the canopy, the shade, and it's getting warm then usually. And then the next stop is another stop. We'll have some volunteers from the city schools that'll take care of us there. Then the next stop is my parents' house, and we have volunteers there, and they're from the Church of Jesus Christ, my parents' church there, and then we'll hit the school. And the last few years, we've had some really nice volunteers that have been cooking barbecue. We've actually had a full-on meal right there at the school. We've also had Jax has donated a buttload of milkshakes. That's pretty nice, isn't it? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've never had it, a milkshake right after something like that is great, but I think it hit the spot.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're going to do that this year. One year we had some people, I didn't even know it was going to happen. They handed out chocolate milk. I thought the chocolate milk was pretty good too.
Yeah.
That was good.
That's what a lot of runners will drink after a race is chocolate milk. There's something with the carbs and the sugar and stuff that are really good for recovery.
Yeah, I mean, back to what you said with the milkshake and what I was saying about the hospitality and the folks that support everything in Haleyville. There's not many restaurants that would donate 75 milkshakes. And
It's a
make
lot.
'em. Normally, when I go through the drive-through, the milkshake machine's broke. Not in Haleyville.
No.
So I asked for a milkshake and it's broken.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's not
McDonald's.
broken in Haleyville.
No, you're thinking of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut used to offer discounts, so some of us would go. They would actually open the buffet up just for us after the walk and give us a little discount. But not many people liked that. I liked it. But
we did it a couple of years. That was good.
Yeah, not many people went. A lot of people wanted to go to Guthrie's because that's where it started. But I don't really. That didn't sound good to me after a while. But of course, the barbecue's the same thing. But I love having the barbecue right there, and then being done, and then going home, and to my parents' house and be able to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
What about any tips, tricks, things to help you make it through to prepare for or during the event?
I'd say listen to Thad Forster. read what you've
But nobody's
posted,
going to
right?
read it. Nobody's going to read it. And I've adapted over the years, but yeah.
Listen to his new tips,
You know,
not his old tips.
Hey, but see, Chris got me on the shoes, and you had a good one last night that needs to be shared too, which I agree with. Is you don't want your shoes too loose. You need to tie them up, get them a little, tighten them more than you normally would, probably.
Yeah, I was
That's
afraid
what I
what
do.
you was going to say. I didn't remember what I said.
Yeah, you were asleep with your eyes open.
That's probably the one thing I remember the most tip wise from last year I didn't do is just tie your shoes tighter. Mm-hmm. I'm remembering all the stuff I got from Chris and Sasha just chatting alongside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find any of those guys that have been there and done it, and they'll share tips all the time.
Yeah. And I've got some on there too from Matt Mueller. His is more like train, including what you eat, what you drink. You don't want to get diarrhea while you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't introduce something new, because that one year, Bobby Bonello and Tony and them have Honey Badger. It's a energy drink. That's their company, and they brought a bunch of samples, and people started drinking them, and some guys did not do well with that because they hadn't had it before.
Oh
Man.
wow.
I did okay. I thought it was great, but I guess I was the lucky one.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. What else? What else about the advice for anybody coming? What about those people who are, on the fence?
I want to follow your advice on one thing I'm going to do is at least 3 times a week. I was just like, rather than doing what I would normally try to do to exercise, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to ruck. But can you comment on how you start with weight, 30 pound, you do that for a while, then 20, decrease the weight, and then you get to no weight? Is that a matter of the weight is just helping your body to transition or condition it to the 28 miles?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just I love to ruck. I just love to carry weight, and I do it all the time, all throughout the year. And so I don't think it really has I don't do the weight just for the walk. I just do it for the training.
Yeah.
But then as my miles go up, I was like, okay, the 30 pounds gets a little heavy, especially with my new rucksack. It doesn't have as good padding. So I go down to 20, and then I remove it. Come April, pretty much sometime in April, I don't have any weight, and I just walk. And yeah, so I don't think the weight is necessary. I think it's just good to do because it's I believe in rucking, period.
Well, and I think I'm going to try to at least do a 14 or 15 mile in preparation, right? Just see how I do, number one, because I was definitely already in a state of this is going to be a long 28 miles. Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to do that in the month of sooner than later. I want to put myself through that and as an evaluation, right? Okay, I'm going to tie my shoes tight, and I'm going to wear my Balegas, and I've got my shoes, and how do I do?
If you want to do it together, we could do that too.
Yeah, we should do it.
Yeah, y'all should do that.
My wife used to train with me. We lived in a neighborhood in Trussville that was just super hilly. I don't know if you ever went in there. You did, I think. Super hilly. And before kids, she would train with me, and that was an awesome, awesome workout. Mm-hmm. What do you think about memorial push-ups, Chris? We do them twice. Oh, yeah. So this is the thing is once we finish the walk, immediately we do memorial push-ups. So before you're going to really get your snack or take your shoes off, pretty much it's memorial push-ups again. So a lot of people are smoked by then. But you've got it's about 30 push-ups is how we do it, right? So
Yep.
or 33 or something. So what do you think about that part of it?
Man, I think it's pretty surreal. You see these guys who've given everything like Mark, people who have signed up to give everything and protect our country and keep war overseas. And they're out here, I guess, leading us, and it's just inspirational to me. I'm very I don't know. It's hard to talk about sometimes that how gracious I am for the sacrifices they make, and that opportunity to be around them and kind of be included with them. Even though I'm not good at push-ups, I look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did them last year once, I believe. Sasha led us at the end, right? And you were already mad enough as it was. What did you think about that?
I remember thinking, great, it's a different, like, let's do it. Like,
Different position.
we're
It's
not
better
using
than
our
walking.
feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's better than our feet. And then, there was I tried to channel the same thing of just, there's nothing like brotherhood. And even if, obviously, if there's some women in sisterhood, right? Like, when you're bonded in a common purpose, and in this case, remembering the fallen and a family member, it was a powerful way to, I guess, just offer one more reminder of Mark. And so it's not just about Mark, but it's Mark and his team and his family, and we're all together and we're all in pain, but we continue on, right, with something in push-ups and following a leader, down, up, whatever, right? There was a lot to that was symbolic. It was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So what about anything in closing, fellas? Advice or anything?
Yeah, if you're on the fence about trying it, I'll tell you, it's one of the best experiences. Back when I would have to pick vacation against 5 or 6 folks at work, that was the first weekend I always picked, was the weekend. So I made sure I'd have that opportunity to be there. And I won't tell you it'll be easy, but most things that are worth doing aren't easy. And it's completely worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, other than things that we've talked about, I touched on this maybe just a little bit, but it's always fun to meet people. And as you have a podcast, I have a podcast, and you're hearing people's stories and you're diving into different parts of their life. And it does, if you've ever thought about any training you've ever been to with your company, I don't know, or something, you did a group project in school, and you come together with some people you don't really know, and then by the end of it, it's this, you're hugging and you're friends, or it's life changing in that you've learned from these people, and maybe it's helped you cope with your own loss or your own struggle or whatever. And it's the same, you're going to be in this group, and you might show up and like, oh, I don't know anybody. But I'm telling you, after 12 hours, you'll have talked to everybody. It's just the way it is. You'll walk, and Chris and I could be talking, and then the next thing you know, he's going to go talk to his son, and I start talking at that, and then I start talking to the people that I don't know, and then by the end, there's a camaraderie, right? So that when you do those push-ups, now it's like you have formed this team, concept, and you've learned a lot about one another. And it just always reminds you like how precious life is, and how precious our families and our life stories are, and how important it is to talk and to share and with others, because it's just so helpful. And then later what happened with Nick, right? I mean, I meet Nick, and then later he's fighting for his life in the hospital, right? And that meant a lot, that touched me even more, because I spent time talking to the young man. And then I interviewed his future father-in-law, like that type of stuff later, where now I feel like a lot more connected to him, and it all because of the walk.
That's one thing I really love about it is seeing the people who only see each other at the walk, but they are good friends. And these are not just men and women. It's all men and women, all friends, all ages, coming from all over the country. And if you look at pictures throughout the years, then you're going to see a bunch of people that look happy. I mean, really, and even they're in pain. When you see people smiling, they may just be happy that day, but whatever you're going through in your life, that is a really great event. And because of the people, because of the challenge, and because of the discomfort too, I think. But yeah, it really is. It's always something that sometimes for me, it's an event that that I love, but I don't always look forward to it for some reason because it's a lot of work. But dadgum, the day off, I feel like I'm walking on air the whole day. And so I may have had more injuries than injuries I might would have recognized other times, but I just feel like that day there's so much positive vibes around me or something. And maybe Mark is there with us, but I just like nothing can stop me kind of thing. I don't know. I love it.
I think kind of what both of you guys said is it's about fighting for a common goal. It's not just your goal to finish. It's everyone's, and you're all doing it together.
Yeah. That's why we stay together. The purpose is not, this is not for, if anybody's thinking, hey, I'll go walk it real quick and be done. No, that you're coming to the wrong event.
Yeah.
The purpose is to stay together. We're going to walk around maybe 3.5 miles an hour. And if you get spread out, you're going to hear me, and I'll probably annoy the crap out of you. But if you walk too fast, it's just what happens. We want to stay together, and I'll have some guys in the group that'll help kind of monitor that. We have so many wonderful volunteers. We have policemen. Just think of driving a car 3 miles an hour all day long. That's got to stink.
Yeah.
And they do it. And they stop at the stops, and they're as nice as can be. And later on in the day, we'll get another policeman in the back, usually after the race. And the volunteers, I just can't thank them enough. I mean, all different ones, and they spend their money to feed us and to give us drinks. And we have plenty of people that drive by and pass out drinks in between the stops. That way you don't have to carry a bunch of drinks with you. You don't have to carry a water bladder if you don't want. I don't carry one. I'll take an extra drink and walk with it. And then sometimes if it gets hot, somebody's coming by with some drinks, and that's a big help. I'll have the new patches soon. So we are going to give out patches to everybody who completes the walk this year. And I think they're pretty cool. They've got a subdued Jaguar in the back, and I know y'all have seen at least some version of it, and the eyes actually are reflectors, and then it's got the logo and the 28 miles on them. So I was talking to Dan Skidmore, who was a teammate of Mark's and who's the director of training for Ruck, and I said, what do you think? You think we should do something again? And we've done patches before. We're not doing T-shirts this year. And he's like, man, I've seen people do incredible things for a patch. I was like, okay, maybe we'll just do a patch again. Plus, it's been a few years, so we'll do that. I think do y'all want to say anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I'm good.
No, it's just it's amazing just sitting here a year later, and to know Chris and to be excited to see him and kind of hug him like a brother. And I think that's what it's all about. So I'm really excited for the walk this year.
Good. Who knows what kind of turnout we'll have right now, because nobody registers early. They always register late. But we'll get I try to keep the volunteers updated on how many people to expect.
I'm excited to see the big group again.
Yeah, it's going to be good to be back. Lauren Tinker's been pushing that too. She runs our race, and so appreciate her doing that. And we'll May 20th, 2023, Haleyville, Alabama. All the information is on the website, markaforster.com. I'll have links to your Instagram. I don't know if you post much, but you definitely
Never post anything.
I'll have your Instagram. Are you still TikToking it too?
Some. I don't post anything on social media, really. But
Yeah.
I like to keep up with my family and other people, friends.
Yeah. I will say for the podcasters, those watching, please, I don't ask this a lot, but I wish you would go to, if you're using Apple Podcast or if you're using Spotify, those are the two players for sure where you can rate and leave a review. Please do it. I prefer you do both. Rate it with the 5 stars and then leave a review also. It takes just a little bit of time, but it does help the podcast to get noticed, to show up on searches better. It just looks better if you're looking through podcasts and you see one that's got a bunch of ratings. Then it helps people at least to think, well, maybe this is something worth listening to. And hopefully today's is something worth listening to. But the walk is something that's a passion of mine, and this event, and I love it. I really appreciate y'all taking part in it because it's very inconvenient. You drive an hour and a half. You're going to be driving an hour and a half. And and then it's not like you're just driving there and back. You're going to be at least in some discomfort. But if it's like last year for me, which I expect it to be, I'll be good to go. The ballistic trainers, the Balegas, the body glide, good.
Yeah, body glide's a big key.
Yeah, the body. I put that on my feet, between my legs. I mean, that's it. Where do you use it?
Pretty much all the fat rolls, but no, around your arms, around your armpits, your thighs, feet's good.
Yeah,
Anywhere you're gonna get a lot of rubbing.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna buy some. I don't have any yet.
Yep, I just got a new one just the other day. Small one. You don't need a whole lot.
Okay.
Just get the small Joker. Okay, I think that's it. We'll sign out. Appreciate y'all listening, and thank you,
You're welcome.
Chris and Troy.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thad.
All right.